There's no Senate for Guam. Maybe there should be. If they're part of the U.S. and they're following along with American law and paying taxes. But anyway, I digress. We're going to cut for a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about this insurrection that happened at the Capitol. Don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
You're listening to a man who's so sexy it's completely ridiculous. Mr. Anthony Scott Dover. Yummy.
Yes. All right. Every time she says that, it just makes me want to say yes. So that's why I come back like that. But anyway, on the 6th, when Congress and the Senate, the Vice President, Speaker of the House, were all at the Capitol building having this ceremony that's supposed to be just a formality in theory, had the objections from 7 senators were rejecting the certifying of the votes. Like I said, there was over 100 congressmen, all Republican congressmen, who were objecting. President Trump was having a rally outside. The Capitol building is right down the street from the White House. There's like a lot of government buildings all in the same area, close proximity. And so the president had urged his supporters to come to Washington, D.C. and to this rally, which, for the life of me, I don't understand why they didn't have the National Guard stationed around the Capitol building to protect it from what we've seen happen, and that is the president urging his supporters to march down to the Capitol building, talking about how you can't take back the government with weakness. You need a show of strength. So he's hyping these guys up, getting them all riled up, telling them to march down to the Capitol. Even though Vice President-elect Harris was in the building, and all the senators and congressmen that I know of were all there, and Vice President Pence, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, everybody was present. That's in the Senate, the Congress, and the Vice President. I mean, they were all there. President Trump is outside urging an angry mob to march down to the Capitol and take back the government. Rudy Giuliani said we're going to have a trial by combat in his little stupid speech. It was a dumb speech because you're urging these people to do something stupid that's going to get themselves into trouble. It's going to cause some people to lose their lives. One police officer lost his life. A DC police officer who was at the Capitol building trying to prevent this angry mob from breaking past barriers and busting in the doors and windows of the Capitol building to get inside. An angry mob of jackasses who were urged to go down to the Capitol building and take the government back. They were doing just as they were told by their leader, the weird dumbass, delusional idiot boss, Mr. President Donald Trump. So after Giuliani and Trump Jr., the dick face, and President Trump himself all urged supporters to go to the Capitol building, they did so, and an insurrection or an attempted coup, I guess you would say, took place at the White House. I mean, not at the Capitol building. Trump supporters busted in the building, running the halls, ransacking some of the offices, looking to try to get to the floor of Congress where these meetings of the procedures of the certification was taking place, and the senators and Speaker of the House and Vice President and Vice President-elect, all these senators who were on the floor, some of them were in the balcony, and they weren't able to get those guys. They just told them to lay down and hide, which that's got to be a scary thing. You're being infiltrated by jackasses, nasty dick face supporters of the president who have been urged by the president to come down to the Capitol building, and then they take it upon themselves to actually bust into the Capitol building. And let's pause right there. Let's stop right there. And let's just say this. How an angry mob of protesters ever was able to enter that building is beyond me. Because they knew they were coming. They knew they were out there. They knew that President Trump had been calling people to come to D.C. So, in that alone, the security around the Capitol building should have been beefed up, and the National Guard should have already been there before any of this took place, just to make sure nothing like this could happen. That you can't have angry jackasses running the halls in the Capitol building looking for someone to punish. Okay? It just so happens that they've got secret exits in the building to where they take the congressmen and the senators through these secret exits to get out of the building. I'm guessing tunnels or something, rooms that were secured, under the building, basement. Take them down in the basement, and then they have probably huge doors that are almost impossible for a bunch of little jackass nut jobs to bust through. Probably metal doors with probably need a bomb to get through. Speaking of bombs, some of these Trump supporters who were involved in this insurrection had pipe bombs. They found pipe bombs that had been planted. I think it was a couple of them. Might have been more. But it's been reported that there were a couple of pipe bombs that were planted in the Capitol building that police found after the National Guard finally did get there. It took them quite a number of hours, by the way. I'm not saying that that's some type of conspiracy. All I'm saying is they should have already been there. There's no way in hell that building should have been breached by regular citizens. I mean, some of them were carrying guns, but so what? We got the best technology and weaponry. We have trained soldiers, National Guard soldiers who have been trained. A lot of them are in tip-top physical condition. They have all the gear and equipment that you need to stop something like that from happening, and they weren't even there when it happened. They wasn't even there. Now the small band of police that were there, some of them appeared to be scared. I mean, I can understand why, but they were outnumbered by the protesters or the rioters. But it's been brought up that, all these Trump rioters were white. And if that had been black people rushing the Capitol building like that, they would have been gunned down on sight. Now, we'll never know if that's the case, because I don't think you can get an angry mob of black people busting in the Capitol building. I mean, for one, whatever it is that Trump was saying, go bust in the Capitol building for me because I'm the man you love. I'm the guy you want to toss a salad. So bust in the building and get yourself in trouble, you dumbasses. I don't know who, there's not one person that black people would think, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a dumb idea. That's a stupid idea. For one, you're not going to stop the certification of the votes. Okay, the election has already been tallied, investigated. They've already battled in court about voter fraud, and they've had no evidence of widespread voter fraud. That's why we've gotten to this point, because trust me, the Republicans were waiting for Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, the nut job lawyer who's talking about Hugo Chavez and Dominion voting machines, and everything she's saying is a lie, a straight lie. That's why Dominion is mounting a lawsuit against Sidney Powell for slander. They've also sent notes to many other media companies saying you've slandered us and we don't appreciate it. We're going to sue you. And they mean it. They're not joking around, because those voting machines, that's their life. Okay, that's the business. They don't want people thinking that, you can't use our voting machine because it'll swap your vote from one candidate to another. That's not true at all. Those are the lies that these guys have been spreading, that there's been widespread voter fraud. We got all kind of proof. We got a whole fire hose full of proof, and they've presented no proof at all. No proof of it. So Dominion is suing this Sidney Powell. We'll see where that goes. But this attack, and some people call it domestic terrorism, on the Capitol building, to me, I have to blame whoever's in charge of security, because you should have called for the National Guard earlier in the day. Soon as you woke up and came to work, I mean, probably the day before, you already knew that all the supporters, so-called protesters, would be on site. You didn't know that President Trump would have this rally and send them down to the Capitol, but you knew some people would be there. And even if it was a possibility, if you have 2,000 protesters who are going to turn into rioters, you need to be prepared for that. So I don't know who's in charge directly of securing the Capitol building, but that person needs to be fired and smacked in the face. I know that would be a violent move, but you shouldn't be allowed to allow something like what happened to happen without at least being smacked in the face. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Violence is a deterrent, you know what I'm saying? So allowing the Capitol building to be breached and for the halls to be ran by nut jobs carrying